Welcome to Playing the Big, Beautiful Long Game, where entrepreneurship meets spirituality. In this podcast, we explore the intersection of personal fulfillment, spiritual growth, and business success. This podcast delves into the idea that entrepreneurship is not just about profits or growing businesses. It's also about embracing purpose, meaning, and inner growth. Each episode features conversations with entrepreneurs and thought leaders who share their journeys of building businesses that align with their highest values and deepest calling. I'm your host, Debbie Zita. Sit back, relax, and thank you for being here. Welcome, beautiful Julie. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. Can you please let the audience know who you are and what it is that you do?
Thank you so much for the invitation, Debbie. I'm honoured to be here. I'm the founder of the Beautiful You Coaching Academy, and we train people worldwide to become heart-centered life coaches. And I'm also a sacred leadership mentor to sacred leaders and space holders.
Ooh, I love this. And actually, our first conversation, and I do often say that when I'm interviewing someone on the podcast, because I've been looking at you from afar, and it was one of those things where I had a little bit of intimidation of, oh, Julie won't come onto the podcast because she's busy and she already has things that are established and she doesn't know me and all of those sort of things that pop into your mind. So I feel quite privileged and humbled to be having you as a guest because although I don't know you, I like you, I feel energy and I come from a deep place of truth and heart-centeredness. And I feel like there's so much resonance with the work that you're doing and the work that I'm doing as well. So perhaps we can also chat after we end record. But for the purpose of this episode, I'd love to find out, Julie, how did all of this get started for you in terms of Beautiful You and the coaching that you're currently involved with, or the training, I should say, that you're currently involved with?
Well, I'll have been in the online business world for 25 years next year. And so that makes me a little bit of a dinosaur in many ways. In the online business world, we can often think that everything is very, very new, but there are a few of us OGs around.
Yes.
And my first professional career was as a social worker and a psychotherapist, and I worked with young people and families. And I absolutely loved that work until I started to crave a more dynamic way of working with people who were really wanting to move forward in their life, but might not necessarily have had the mental health issues of the usual clients I was used to working with. And that's when I found coaching. And it was at the very early stages of the industry, back when nobody knew what a life coach was, let alone was really working with one. But over a period of about 10 to 11 years, and there's obviously a lot of detail I can give you in there that we don't have time for today, but very slowly, surely, steadily, I built up a very successful coaching business that eventually began to attract a lot of coaches towards me saying, how are you getting all of these clients? What's the secret Julie sauce, etc. And so it felt like I was at a crossroads, and I did what all great coaches do at that time and sought out a really great coach to work with. And she helped me to uncover the belief or the desire that had been bubbling up inside me to start my own life coaching training that was very heart-centered, very connected, very holistic, which was very different to the way that I was trained and the origins of where coaching comes from, which is very much the corporate space. And that's when I started the Beautiful You Coaching Academy, 11 years ago this year. And we had a number of people apply to be the pilot. And over the last 11 years, we've now trained more than 2,700 coaches from around the world. And so I'm very, very proud of that and loving our community and everything that they're doing in so many beautiful ways. And secondly, to that, a couple of years ago, after stopping my one-on-one coaching for a long time to really focus on the academy, I went back to very high-centered mentorship for amazing leaders and space holders because I was missing it. And I really wanted to do that work again. So I now see a select clientele with that as well, especially now that I have a beautiful team that assists and supports me with the academy.
Oh, I love this so much. It's amazing to me that our paths didn't cross. And interestingly enough, as in to cross sooner, and interestingly enough, my background is also I'm a social worker.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So
Hello to you.
25 years, I know, hello, right? So 25 years in human behavior for me. And I did a Bachelor of Behavioral Science Psychology and then went over to do Bachelor of Social Work and was working in aged care mental health and just felt this is so, so desperately wrong. And then ended up, got married. I birthed a beautiful child. And then I went on, I'll spare the details, but a very, very challenging, what I call my dark decade of the soul
Mm,
where, yeah, everything crumbled for a long while. And I think I must have stayed in victimization for a long time and eventually found coaching. And everything I did, I actually did to save myself, really. I wasn't looking for a business. I was looking for how do I keep myself here for my son. And then I, yeah, had some amazing results and was like, okay, I need to actually put this into a framework and share it. And social work actually became such a key piece for the way that I work because it is, as you'll know, very holistic.
yes.
And that was something that I didn't sort of have access to if I hadn't have gone down that pathway of social work. So I do believe, and I think you probably share this belief too, that everything happens for a reason. Sometimes we don't know what the reason is, but there's a reason for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh, absolutely. Yeah, for
Julie, I'd
sure.
love to find out, what does playing bigger, playing beautiful mean to you?
You know, if you'd asked me this question when I was much younger, and I'm in my 50s now, I think I would have given you a very different answer. I think playing big and playing beautiful to me now simply means playing to my fullest.
Yeah.
And whatever that is at any given season of my life. I am just postmenopausal this year. I've gone through that rite of passage. And I'm at a stage of life now where so many of the things that I used to worry about as a young maiden in my 20s, I look back now and can't believe I wasted so much time worrying about things like how much I weighed, what size my clothes were, overly concerned about my body, who liked me, who didn't like me. Now, of course, that's a part of that era of life. And we can't necessarily rush through it and maybe shouldn't want to because there's lots of lessons there. But now for me, living in my fullest means so many different things as a woman in my 50s. And really, I feel at this stage of life, it's about my own personal power because this is the queen phase of life. Is like, this is my last phase. This is the autumn of my life before the winter and the decline. And there's still many decades of greatness to come yet. It's certainly not that decline is around the corner, but that playing big now is like, what is my fullest? What is my absolute best that feels amazing for me? Not for anybody else, and certainly not for visibility, but simply what feels full and what feels big and right for me. That's what it really feels like.
Yeah, I love this so much. And I'm so blessed to be around women of all ages and stages. And I've come across some incredible 20 somethings that I feel like, how did you get that so early? How have you understood? Because for me, yeah, I don't know. For me, my shift was when I turned 40 and then I'm now in my perimenopausal stage and I've only just started swearing, so I hope that you don't mind me swearing, Julie, but this year again I'm in my kind of like angsty expressive era. I was very much holding it, but I'm in my zero fucks era.
Mhm.
And
I get that.
I mean that in the most deeply respectfully loving way to myself and anyone else who needs that permission. As someone that loved and gave to everyone else but herself, it's so refreshing to be able to give back and love me.
Mm, mm. Absolutely. And that's such a potent and powerful time and place to arrive at in life, especially as a woman, Debbie, because of course we're living in a society that tries to take away that power from us in so many different ways. Patriarchy, advertising, media, uh, not getting paid as much, all sorts of things that are reasons there. And so we're constantly having to reclaim things for ourselves. And one of the ways we do that is by caring less about things that are actually probably not as important as we think they are.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, isn't it? Because I could even when you said that about caring less, I could feel that part of me, well, the programming and everything else that's like, oh, is it okay for us to care less? And it doesn't mean that we care less. It means we have more space to care for ourselves, which
Mm.
means we have the ability to actually care and do more out in the world, in our careers, in whatever way we choose to express that. Julie, can you walk us through the early stages of your entrepreneurial journey? And I think I'd love for us to stick to the time when you created Beautiful You, because the sense I'm getting as I'm asking you this question is there was a lot of divine sort of energy coming through and a lot of synchronicities and things that were potentially happening for you as that was being created and birthed into existence. Does that resonate with you?
It does, Debbie, except I don't think I realized that at the time.
Yeah.
It was not until later, when I was having an even more deeply spiritual awakening and expansion myself, that I think that I was able to look back and see that those things were certainly happening. And I think in those early days, probably the most important thing for me to let you know was that I did not actually establish the academy with any grand big business plan. There was no strategy, there was no SWOT analysis or competitor, research or anything like that.
Yeah.
I had a problem in my coaching business, and that was my wait list to work with me one on one was blowing out to anywhere between 6 and 8 months.
Wow.
And so while that was a lovely problem to have, it was still a problem. And it meant that I no longer had a sustainable business model. And this was at a time we now see a plethora of courses everywhere online. 11 years ago, coming into almost being 12 years ago, that was not really the case. And so, what it was that I was leaning into doing here was a little bit on the radical side. Certainly, I wasn't seeing hardly any examples of it around, and certainly nothing really in Australia. There were some examples out of the US, but I just started it to address a problem for myself, which was that I couldn't continue to see people one on one in the way that I was. It wasn't sustainable. I needed to bring people together in a group like experience so that I could see one to many and hopefully be able to impart for them the a similar type of experience that people may have gotten with me one on one, but also expanded their education and training and capacity to be able to work with people from there. And the course, the way that it is now, is very different to what it was 11 years ago, as it should be. It's expanded, it's improved, it's much more cutting edge, but it's never lost its heart and its very, very boutique and unique touch. And I've just been really blessed that over the years and we've just grown and grown and grown, which has been wonderful. But there was, in the early days, I can tell you, it was fly by the seat of your pants, wish and a prayer, let's try this, not being afraid to fail
Yeah.
and muck things up and get things wrong, which I did, and be open to feedback and really try different things. And some things worked, some things didn't. And that's okay because it gave me a great foundation to move forward from there.
And I love this sharing. Thank you so much because often we see on social media or a TED talk or a book or whatever we're seeing, the perception is, oh, it's easy. They just did it, overnight success or all those things. And I love to sort of shatter all of that and go into the rawness and the authenticity of you make mistakes, I make mistakes. It's all feedback. It's not perfect. We try it, we evolve, we tweak and that's part of the journey of it. Some more than others. Some people I can see it's like, oh no, it was about 90 days and then we got it. And I'm like, really? It took me 5 years.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm giving a keynote speech next month,
Yeah,
talking at a large women's conference, talking
yeah,
about, my biggest lessons over the last, almost 25 years now. And there's a lot. And I only have time in that talk to deliver six.
yes,
And one of them is literally embracing slow and using my own example of that to say, I was in my coaching business to begin with, a decade success. Like it took a decade,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
right?
yeah,
Building a business from a place where no one knew what a life coach was. And for the academy, it did come a bit quicker than that, but still, it was a good 4 years
yeah.
before I would say I felt like we were starting to easily attract trainees into the course and new life coaches. It did not happen in a small number of years, let alone months, weeks, or overnight. It took
Yeah.
a long time. And I actually encourage people to embrace that and indeed invite it, because that's how you build the foundations of a really sustainably successful business that is not going to fry you and burn you out.
I could not agree more. And I think even those that say, oh, it was 90 days or it was in the first year, I truly feel if you dig a bit deeper, there would have been 5 or 10 years before that where they were learning certain skills, where they were mastering certain attributes about self around, managing a team, delegation, time management, managing your own emotions and your own insecurities. Like there's so many things that we have to sort of manage and master before it does become quite seamless. And then even then, there's market changes, there's industry changes, there's economy change. There's just so many things. It's constantly dynamic, is the sense I'm getting in my
Yeah,
own business and everyone else's that I'm coaching them to build as well. So
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
amazing. Julie, can you let us know for anyone who doesn't quite know that much about Beautiful You, when you talk about the certification, is that a year-long program? Is it, how does it work and how can people find you and get involved?
Yeah, well, we're at beautifulyoucoachingacademy.com.
Yeah.
And our life coaching course is, well, we have a little break in the middle. It ranges between, over Christmas, New Year to allow people time to enjoy either the summer or the festive winter season, if that's where they're at, because we have trainees from all over the world. And so our courses usually begin in July and they finish in March the following year. So they're about 8 months long. And with that little break in the middle, we're internationally certified by the world's peak global body for coaching, the International Coaching Federation. And we also have an internal certification pathway that people can take where they can get a profile on our website and receive referrals from us. And we have people train with us from all over the world, all different backgrounds, genders, ages, religions, cultures, races. We really believe in a coaching industry that is diverse and equitable and inclusive. And we love to see people come into it from all different sorts of backgrounds. And we just love it. And I think the community is probably one of the most amazing aspects of it. So we're very non-competitive. And we absolutely believe that there are enough clients for us all, and we're here to build each other up.
Yeah, abundance mindset is what I'm hearing in that. And I can see that from the photos and from the things that you're putting out on your socials. It seems like such a beautiful, loving community. It seems like a genuine sisterhood.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
agree with that. And that's so lovely of you to say, because I actually really do feel as though that is an accurate reflection. So it's nice to know what we're putting out to people who don't know us is truly an authentic representation.
Well, and it also truly looks and feels beautiful, which is why I'm thinking, how did I not come across you earlier? Because my whole thing is playing bigger, playing beautiful. And for me, the playing bigger is that next level, whatever that is for the person. And the beautiful part is the heart. It's the beauty of the spirit. It's the beauty of, even like I'm looking at your office in the background, I can see it's not a virtual, it's real.
It's real.
Beautiful. It's the color. It's beautiful, and part of
Thank
that
you.
it also connects us to spirit and reminds us to come home to ourselves. This might be my own interpretation of it, but yes, it's beautiful inside and outside.
Well, thank you so much for saying that because we have three core values at the Academy, and they are joy, beauty, and connection.
Mm,
And so, beauty is something that is deeply important to us. And it's particularly important because it's more than aesthetics. Yes, we want things to look beautiful,
yeah.
but more than that, we want them to feel beautiful and we want beauty to act as a spark of inspiration in people's lives because that's what beauty does. It's absolutely more than just something we might look at. It's something that inspires us into action, to create more, to be more, to expand more. It's a catalyst for so many things. And so we see beauty in a really, really holistic, fully dimensional way.
I love it so much. Yeah, really beautiful. Thank you, Julie. Julie, what does spirituality mean to you?
Life,
Mm,
soul, uh, beyond life, it's everything. I really believe that our spiritual practice is, in fact, our life. We can have practices and things that we do in our being that supports us to connect more deeply with our spirit, whether it's breath work or meditation, journaling, nature bathing, yoga, anything that brings us deeper in touch with ourselves and our spirit and soul and source. But ultimately, in the end, the greatest spiritual practice that all of us have is the expression of our own life. It's how we turn up every single day. It's how we not only live with that bigness and beauty and fullness that we were talking about before, Debbie, but also how we manage disappointment, how we manage rejection, how we manage fear and failure. These are the times that our hearts and souls are most stretched, and therefore the times in reality when we're in relationship with others, whether it's clients, family, friends, our lover, those are the times when we're called to be in our deepest living and therefore our deepest spirituality of how it is that we want to show up and relate to ourselves and others.
taking all of that in so beautifully articulated. Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Julie, how do you feel that you have integrated spirituality into entrepreneurship?
The first thing that comes to mind when you ask that question is by truthfully not pretending to be anyone that I'm not and actually seeing, at least in part, my business and my work to be a vehicle for my own authentic expression. Because the last thing that I want is for anybody to see me online or even to meet me in person or hear me on a podcast like this one and then turn up into one of my spaces and find that I am not that person.
Yes, 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 yes. I hear you so deeply on that one.
Yeah, so that's probably the most important thing is that bringing my spirit, which is just another word for, the concept or the ideology of spirituality, is firstly, there's many things, but the most important one I think I'm called to share is that I bring my fullest self into my business. Now, this does not mean that I share everything about myself and my personal life online because that's actually dangerous and it's not very smart and it's also uncalled for. So, authenticity does not equal all access,
Yes.
right? But I want to make sure that I turn up fully as me. and that things that I believe in, things I am passionate about, that I don't hold back about that. And that includes not playing small. So that if I have gifts to offer, I'm clean and clear about making it clean and clear that this is what I can offer. Because that's also a part of not fully being ourselves. We think that it might just be masking, or we think that it might be trying to be something that we're not, but it also involves playing down what we're truly magnificent at
Yeah.
and what we're great at and what we can offer. That is not being fully authentic. And I know that's hard. I know it's not necessarily easy, but part of being fully authentic is being in full ownership of our gifts and making sure we share those.
I love this so much, and I haven't, and I'm sure that you know her work because many of us do. But Marianne Williamson's quote, "Our deepest fear," yeah, and that's on my wall. I can read it. I have got the full version here, and I can add a link in our show notes as well for our listeners and watchers. But that to me is such a beautiful way to express, another way to express what you've just so beautifully expressed about our fullness, our bigness, our authenticity, and then it's I think finding a way where we're doing it where it's appropriate and elegant and protective of ourselves and all the things when it comes to the online platforms. And there's no right or wrong because your sharing online may not be my sharing online and vice versa. My rule of thumb these days, as coming from someone who's been through immense amounts of trauma and has had to process so much, I post when I feel strong enough that I know I've processed enough through that particular part of my life. And even if I'm, crying online or I'm sharing something very raw that may even trigger someone else, but if I know I can carry that when it has comments or it has no comments or whatever that is, then I post it. However,
Hmm.
if I feel I'm too vulnerable and I'm too attached to the outcome, I actually, for my own emotional protection, I choose not to at that time.
That's incredibly smart. Doing that, Debbie, is what I call sharing from scars rather than open wounds.
Oh, I love that. I've never heard of it like that before.
Hmm.
That's very wise.
Yeah, that's how I see that sharing. Because ultimately, in the end, no matter what we share online when it comes to our businesses, the heart of it has to be, is this in service to my ideal clients?
Yeah.
And if we hold that in our hearts before sharing anything, it can become a really clear barometer and test for us to turn to around whether we should or should not share something. And if we're clear that what we're sharing, even if it is something about us and very personal, has the ability to be able to help people in the way that we frame it, then it's a great thing to share. But if we're sharing and we are too messy, we're not articulate enough about it, we haven't resolved it enough to be able to frame it in a way that can offer beautiful medicine, potentially for others to take or leave if they want to, then it's we're not ready. It doesn't necessarily mean not ever, it just probably means not now.
Yeah, I love that. That's a beautiful, beautiful sharing. Thank you, Julie. Julie, what self is your favorite and why? And when I ask this question, I'm of course referring to my beautiful framework behind for those on YouTube, which is the Six Selves framework.
Mm.
I'd love to find out which one resonates most with you.
Well, when I first saw them, Debbie, the one that immediately caught my eye was the legacy self. And I did look at the others, but it just kept drawing me back in. And I think that that's probably because of this stage of life that I am in right now, because it's very acutely pressing in a lovely way on my heart right now that this is the most potent time that I have to really live out the legacy of what it is that I'm here to really do. And of course, that's a multi-dimensional thing. It's not just like one thing. We're all meant to do many, many things. But the legacy self and everything that's connected to that around values, service, purpose, being a gift to the world, hopefully, in some form or another, that that's my favorite for sure.
Oh, I love this. I definitely, you most certainly are a gift to the world, and no doubt the course and the activation and the knowledge and the learning that would come through your certification program would be igniting the gifts in those beautiful women as well. And I should ask, is it open to women only, or is it men and women for your program?
We're open to all genders. We undoubtedly attract mostly women, but certainly we have trained some beautiful men before and also folks who identify as non-binary as well.
Yeah, thank you for adding that. Amazing. I have one last lucky question for you, Julie, which is what advice do you have for others who are creating a business that serves both the world and their heart?
Well, I've already mentioned embracing slow, and I've spoken about authenticity as well. And those would have been two that I would have chosen there. But I'll add a third one in, and that is I really want to encourage everyone to deeply honor and pay attention as a business owner to your craft. We are surrounded by a lot of marketing and advertising in the online world right now that's very focused on teaching us skills or asking us to invest in things that are about teaching us to grow our businesses. And I'm not saying for one moment that they're not valuable and important. They are. However, ultimately, in the end, if you are not exceptional at what it is that you do, whether you're a coach, a kinesiologist, a bookkeeper, a VA, anything at all, then no fancy website, no Insta Reel strategy, no mastermind delivery is going to assist you to get the best possible referral engine working for you and your business and your growth, and that is word of mouth. If you want to get that running for you, you have to be great at what you do. And so I'm always trying to, as an OG dinosaur, really encourage people, don't forget about the art and the craft and the skill of what it is that you do, and making sure you're continually investing your time, effort, energy, and money, if you can, in getting better and better at that all the time, because that's what's going to see you deliver exceptional results to your clients and have them returning and also telling other people to come to you as well.
Beautifully said. Amazing. Julie, is there anything else that you feel to share that's on your heart before we finish up today?
Just thank you so much for the lovely conversation and invitation, Debbie.
Oh, it is absolutely our pleasure. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
The information provided on this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered medical, health, or financial advice. Always consult with a qualified health professional or financial advisor before making any decisions related to your personal health or finances.